1778, the Constitution of the United States of America was written and is considered to provide the first blueprint of modern democracy. Fast forward 238 years later, and we still abide by the same blueprint as we undergo the 2016 election. People who most have never heard of are starting to become household names, and it's all because of the massive amount of media attention on the 2016 election. This year's election will affect every single American citizen in many ways. When making your decision on who to vote for, don't just listen to mainstream media networks. Dig deep to learn as much as you can about each candidate. As I have just turned 18, and this is the first election I can vote in, this topic is extremely important for me. First, I will discuss the history of democracy. Secondly, I will discuss the Republican candidates, and we will end discussing the Democratic candidates. The finalization of the 1778 Constitution that made democracy thrive in America still affects each and every one of us. At the time of writing the Constitution, it was considered to be what would bring America together as a unified country, where people would be free of tyranny and vote for their leaders. There were many groups of people with different beliefs, so the United States made parties so people could be grouped with others who shared the same beliefs. The three main parties were the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and the Whigs, along with many other smaller, lesser-known groups. As with everything else, not everyone always gets along and agrees. George Washington is the only president in U.S. history to ever be unanimously elected. The disagreements have caused fights to break out, and one of the most famous hate groups is the KKK, which was a Democratic group in the 1900s. What is democracy, you may ask? Democracy is when all citizens are involved in choosing the political leaders. Democracy didn't originate in the U.S., but in ancient Rome. Democracy comes from two Greek words, demos, which means the people, and kratia, which means power. Now that we have learned more about the history of democracy, let's take a look at the Republican candidates. The Republicans have narrowed it down to four candidates: Donald Trump, John Kasich, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio. Donald Trump is an American businessman with many views that are considered radical. On immigration, Trump has said that he wants to build a wall between the U.S. and Mexico borders and ban Muslims from entering the U.S. altogether. On the topic of gun control, he is for guns and has been quoted to say, "I have a concealed weapons permit like millions of Americans who exercise the Second Amendment." Trump is a pro-life advocate with exceptions only to rape and if the mother's life is in danger. Marco Rubio is a young Florida senator. On immigration, he has been quoted saying, "We must serve our country first and then worry about what the American people are willing to support." Rubio is also for guns, saying, "It's not the guns, it's the people who are committing the crimes." He's against abortion in all forms, even if it was rape. Rubio has said, "I believe a human being, an unborn child, has the right to live of any circumstance that they were conceived." Ted Cruz, the Texas senator, is considered to be Trump's main rival. He is also like Trump on immigration. He wants to build a wall and secure our borders. Cruz is for guns, saying that the right to self-defense is an essential component to our liberty and embodies the American spirit. He is pro-life, saying life is a gift from God. It is our most basic right. Without it, we have nothing. John Kasich is the Ohio governor. His views on immigration are much less radical than Trump's and Cruz's. He even goes as far to call them ridiculous and ludicrous. On gun control, he opposes restriction on buying firearms and thinks that the way we are is perfectly fine. Governor Kasich is pro-life and wants to defund Planned Parenthood. Now that we've discussed the Republican candidates, let's talk about the Democratic ones. The Democratic candidates are as follows: Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders is a Vermont senator who wants to provide a way for immigrants to become citizens and live in America through a mainstream legalization process. That way they can also live the American dream. He wants a complete ban on all semi-automatic firearms and make stricter laws to make gun purchases harder to get. Bernie believes that abortion is not up to the government, but is up to the mother. Hillary Clinton is the former Secretary of State. She's wife to former President Bill Clinton. Like Bernie, she wants to make a comprehensive path for immigrants to receive citizenship. Clinton wants to have more rigorous background checks on people purchasing firearms. Clinton also believes that abortion is up to the mother and not the government. First off, we've discussed the history of politics in the U.S. Secondly, we discussed the Republican candidates, and we finished off discussing the Democratic ones. Without a doubt, this year's election has gotten more people into politics and has got people involved with voting. In conclusion, the right to vote is your privilege, so learn as much as you can and don't just listen to mainstream media. Look up everything you can about the candidates and make your own choice and be part of one of the greatest elections in U.S. history.